The stage is empty. The performers and the members of the audience have all gone home. So now that all of the action is over, I have requested to have a brief conversation with the two masterminds of this past year of music education. Meet Kristen and Mac Knight, a unique teaching duo because very rarely is an entire music department run by a husband and wife team. Kristen is responsible for the general music program, and Mac is responsible for the band and choir program. First off, how has this joint responsibility affected your home and professional lives? And what are some of the advantages and disadvantages?
I feel that sometimes we can take work home and it's beneficial, and other times we should probably leave it at school. But it's interesting to be able to talk to someone about those musical concerns that kind of crop up. So it's
nice to bounce ideas off of somebody who's in the same field.
I could see that working if you went home and somebody was in another field and you mentioned something
Yes.
about tessitura and some of these
Yeah.
strange words, it would make much sense. But you guys talk the same language.
Yes.
This is good. And so, as far as home life goes, who gets stuck with the dishes when we're in a program run?
Paper plates.
Paper? That's the modern technology,
Yes.
take over.
Yes.
That's one of the things you have to do is adjust and switch roles when
Yes.
you have a double-header leader role
Yeah.
like you have here. So it's kind of interesting. Paper plates, I like that answer. Now, when you left college, you both knew that you were going to be teaching music, I assume. Did the thought ever cross you, or your counselors ever give you a heads up that finding a double job would be a real pain and somebody might have to play second fiddle for a while?
no, because when we got out, I graduated a couple of years earlier than Kristen.
Okay.
And I found a job right off the bat. Kristen had a couple more years to finish. When she finished, she went to her student teaching at a neighboring school district to where I was teaching. She subbed for a semester, and then miraculously, the elementary position in the same district I was in opened up, and she got that job. Otherwise, we probably would have been teaching in two separate districts, and in that area up by Kansas City, there's a little more availability as far as the number of school districts, so we probably would have figured something out. But it just so happened that I would be in the same school district, so it was kind
So
of.
the leprechauns were smiling on you.
Yes.
Now, the next question here is for Mac. Many times we hear about the curse of the 1A and 2A schools. And have you met this problem, and how have you dealt with this student involved in everything challenge?
It is a challenge, but I don't see it so much as a curse as a opportunity for the kids to really structure themselves. When they're involved in so many activities, they have to plan out in advance what they're going to do, which means that they're a little more conscientious about their plans for the day, the week, the month, the year. In some places, I came from a bigger school, and you did your one thing or your two things, and that was all you were almost allowed to do. Here, they're encouraged to do as many things as they can, which is really beneficial, I think, to all the programs. So at times it can be challenging when you have someone gone for a sports practice or an event or whatever, but the staff is really receptive to helping out with, if you need that extra time with them, they'll be willing to give it to you.
Have you seen that problem in the elementary so much?
No.
No, it doesn't exist
Yeah.
down there. Kids don't take off to play golf and,
No.
and pole vault and stuff like that. They do have a scheduling, juggling, you might say, with all the extra computer classes and the math
Yeah.
things they have to go in and out. And sometimes, as an elementary teacher, you end up with no break in the morning,
Yeah.
and some things like
Yeah.
that, which it's tight scheduling, so you have to
But
plan
it's okay.
ahead.
The teachers are very flexible and they're willing to work with me if I needed a break or I've not noticed a big.
Just fine,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Now, on the wall, there are many feedback notes, and I've read some of them, and that's how they see the year. But how would you rate the year, and looking ahead, what do you want to do for next year? Let's start with Kristen.
Oh boy. I am just over the moon on how this year went. I'm very pleased. I thought the kids were phenomenal. They exceeded even my expectations. I'm a little afraid that I set the bar too high, and now I got to figure out how we're going to go even bigger and better next year. But I'm excited. It'll be fun. It's a fun
That's-
challenge to have.
That's good. And you have, since the second semester started, been on a dead run. I mean, with contests and traveling. I mean, I see your postings. You know, you're here, you're there, and you're everywhere. Now, what you have to do is come up with all kinds of music. And people think that the music teacher, particularly the band director, takes the summer off. But you, I know, have started already planning programs, looking at music and doing all kinds of things like that. So, any thoughts about what you aim to do for next year?
Well, when we get the final rosters in for next year, we'll kind of evaluate, what kind of music we can handle at the different grade levels. I don't really have any set plan as far as like a theme or anything, but I do start that process. I've started about a month ago, so looking at music for next year, and I'll do it all summer long, listening to music, looking at copies of music, going to music stores, and trying to find the right instrumentation and the right balance of different styles of music. That's not something that's just at the last second. It takes a lot of planning to get
Yes,
that ready
it
for
does.
that.
Now, when you teach, out of nowhere come these moments where after the day is tough and you have a moment in which this is why I teach. Without naming names, can either one of you come up with those aha moments which said, yes, I'm going to do this?
I've been trying to think of this, and I can honestly say every day I've experienced something like that. Some moments that feel bigger, maybe
Yes.
that you see the kid's light bulb finally go off, and some days it's something small where a challenging student is receptive, or you get a hug, or little things like that. But every day I experience that this is why I'm doing this.
That's why you teach. And Mac?
There's the obvious things that people kind of point to. It'd be like your district and your state level recognitions for individuals, making honor groups and those kinds of things. But I think that when I hear a student come up to me and say, I'm thinking about being a band director, or
Oh,
I'm thinking
yes.
about doing something like that, that means that they've had a good experience, and that's something that they want to continue on, which is how I got into being a band director and a music educator, is I had a really good experience. And so that, and then just like Kristen said, those moments where you see it in their kids' eyes, where
In
they
the eyes,
finally
yes.
get it, and then they understand it, and then that just lets you know that you're doing the right thing.
And you can walk home about this high off of the ground
Yeah.
and say, yes,
Yes.
it's worth it. Now then, you have added some comedic and dramatic dimensions to your programs. I see the chuckle here. So, what is the background for this?
Well, when I was in 7th and 8th grade, I had a band director named Scott Freeby in Manhattan, and he would do something like this pretty much every
I
concert.
don't think like this.
Yes, every concert there would be some aspect that he would be involved with. For example, we played Spinning Wheel by Blood, Sweat, and Tears
Uh-huh.
one year, and he came out, and we all had tie-dyed shirts of different colors for every section. He came out in a multicolored tie-dyed shirt with dreadlocks, and he's as bald as can be, with dreadlocks and his little glasses on, and everything was groovy and cool. And we did a tour around all the elementary schools in our area, and the kids just absolutely ate it up. And that was just something that that was really cool to be a part of. And then I thought, well, if he can do it, I want to be like him. And so I just started adding these things into what I do.
That's interesting. I wondered how you came up with that, because I've seen a few of those things. And now, what do you think of Mac as an actor? Have you ever just ducked your head and thought,
Every
oh
time.
no,
Every time.
how's he going to get out of this one? Yes.
He stopped telling me what he's going to do because he knows I'm just. So I'm with the audience. I don't know what's going to happen.
So, because he wings it a lot. I
Oh,
can
yeah.
tell. He's off
Yeah.
script from the start.
Very much.
Very much.
Very much.
But that's nice because you're keying off of the feedback. If you're on
Yeah.
script, you don't know whether the audience with it or not. But when you key off of this, oh, this worked, and so
Uh-huh.
you can do this and you can do that. Well, on that note, I would like to close this interview and thank you guys very much and wish you the best for next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.